What's up, everybody? It's Gotta See, and I'm here with another podcast episode of Holistic and Spiritual as Fuck. And thank you so much for tuning into this podcast. If you're new, this podcast drop episodes on the first and the third Fridays of the month. The podcast is available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, pretty much anywhere that podcasts are played, and of course, Podbean. I'm always leaving them out, and that's actually like my host, okay? So yeah, and if you're coming back, welcome back, fam. I absolutely adore you. You guys, the community is growing. You're reaching me in different places, and that's what's up. Okay. So first and foremost, I'm going to go ahead and get a little bit of business out of the way quick, so you guys know where to find me as well as where to find my guest today, Mahalia Thomas. And of course, all this information is going to be down in the description as well. So make sure you stay tuned to that. Follow us in the different places, as well as any classes that'll be coming up for us both. Okay. So, first and foremost, if you can see the video at the bottom of the screen, I'm all over social media at Holistic and Spiritual AF spelled out. So, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Substack, Medium, YouTube, everywhere, pretty much at Holistic and Spiritual AF. Okay. So, make sure you follow me there. And also, you'll be wanting to follow my guest today, Mahalia Thomas. She's a part of the Wisdom Network. She's a spiritual life coach over there. And like I just said, she's a spiritual life coach at the Wisdom Network, and she helps people embody their spiritual power through healing tools, energy work, and intuitive guidance. Rooted in her gifts, she awakens others to create and protect with love, light, and belief. And today we're going to be talking about sacred tools for sacred work using energy and intuition in the workplace. Okay, so very, very applicable to just about everybody. We're going to be going into how to use healing tools and energy work in your daily work life, protecting your peace while being a light in professional spaces, walking in your divine assignment no matter what the setting. So I think everybody can definitely benefit from this because we a lot of times we're holistic and spiritual AF, and then we go to work, and some of that, we're trying to figure out how to navigate people, places, and things, and we forget about our tools. So that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today. You do not want to miss this episode. You want to follow and listen all the way to the end. And that is it for me today. Now let us get into it, shall we? Okay, so Mahalia, thank you so much for joining me. I'm really excited to have you on the podcast. I know you're coming from the Wisdom Network and you're bringing a lot of gifts. My audience is going to be delighted with you because that's what we talk about, the mind, body, spirit integration on this podcast. And you're into some amazing work. You're doing things that are, surrounding metaphysical energy work, quantum healing, sound and energy healing, and you're also into spiritual coaching, crystals, raising many mystics. I can't wait to hear about that, and spiritual hygiene. So you are definitely on the path, well versed, certified in a lot of things. Just tell me how the journey started for you. Like, how did this become a thing for you?
Well, thank you so much for inviting me. First of all, I'm so excited to be able to express more about how I started and how this is just a very integral part of my life. It all started when I was a child and I was outside, like at the park. And I always just had like a spiritual connection. It wasn't just like I'm outside to play, I'm outside to release, to connect with the environment. And my family used to be like, that's weird. But I was like, this is what I need to do for me. And I believe I was led by my spirit guides and my ancestors. My sister had died when I was 4. And I went to a school where I was like the minority. It was a predominantly white institution. And that did something to my self esteem. So I needed outlets and ways to process the energy that I was feeling. So that's where I was outside. I was collecting rocks. I was collecting crystals, and I was essentially meditating, finding beautiful places to be so I could infuse that into my energy. So that's pretty much how it started since childhood. And then how I got into the certifications is through Mystic University, owned by the Divine Mother Monica Bay. Um, because all of that childhood stuff, it kept me whole as a child, but some childhood trauma, it wanted to like follow me around into my adult life. And I was like, wait a minute. I know about metaphysical things and stuff like that, but there's something else that I need to learn. So I got into advanced energy protection and being able to really use metaphysical practices to continue me on that path of being able to work with energy and just express myself in a way that I want to be, which is calm, the essence of nature, and things like that. So, shout out to Miss University. I started in 2020, and now I'm a teacher, a professor at the university. And I teach a course called Mini Mystics, which I introduce the children to their energy systems and how it.
Mm.
And then I got certified through Mystic University as a spiritual life coach, and I work at the Wisdom Network now. And I do coaching, energy healing, because um, my teacher, Monica Bay, she always says, like, I want to teach you how to fish. I don't want to be responsible for your energetic health. I want you
Mhm.
to learn for yourself. So that's why she passed the torch on, and I'm so excited to do this.
Awesome, awesome. Well, that definitely sounds like a journey. Definitely the type of child that you were. And I'm very sorry to hear about your sister. That's pretty traumatic at a young age. Even, it's a shock. It's a shock to the energy system. But it sounds like you were definitely a very introspective, little metaphysical kid, outside collecting rocks and, being in your internal realm. That kind of was like me too, because my brother and sister are like 7 and 9 years older than me. So they were like, there was such a big age gap. Like, when I'm 7, my sister's 14, my brother's 16. So, like, I'm like an only child doing my own thing. And I remember being in my internal world and playing with my ancestors and my spirit guides with my dolls and stuff like that. And, that kept me. That kept me throughout my childhood. You talked about trauma and early childhood and early life. And that definitely saved me as well, having that connection with them. But at a certain point, like you said, the healing had to begin, the self healing. And I'm always a firm believer that the healer's journey always starts with ourselves first. We have to kind of go through the fire in order to be able to help other people. And it sounds like that's what you did. So that's great. And then you ended up finding, Mystic University, and now you're teaching. I love that you're teaching the babies. That's awesome. I mean, I hope that grows and expands, into something where maybe we can start offering that into schools, because if we can get them young, society, the world would be better.
When I started teaching the course at Miss University in February 2024, after the first classes, I was like, oh my goodness, I wish that I had access to this type of practices while I was outside at that park trying to process what I was
Yes.
with. And I really do hope it expands as well, because it is such um, an important thing to understand your inner world and what it's made of, because we have like physical education, we learn about the physical body, but we also need to learn about the energetic body as children.
Yes. Absolutely.
That's something that I'm a very staunch advocate of, and I'm actually an educator and I teach middle school ELA.
Okay.
But while I'm in there, I'm like, guys, let's get our energies together. Like,
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Fred, I can't really, get too much to what I do at Mini Mystics because it's a public school, but still, I'm in there like with my sounds, with my I have like a little bell signal where
Yes.
now like I'll use it to like signal, hey, we need to be quiet, but we need to calm. It's really,
Calm all the way down, y'all. Like, take a deep breath. I'm sure with middle school, that's got to be intense.
it is, and it's really unfortunate because the trauma that is in the childhood of the population that I serve,
Hmm.
unfortunately, um, I deal with the school that I'm at or the district that I'm at. They're dealing with like a missing child case right now.
Oh, wow.
All
Yeah.
right, Naziah Harris, and it's just that I wish is, like you said, more widespread in the schools, because they have like mindfulness and calm classroom, but it's like I said, we need to understand the anatomy of who we are inside and how to really like look at how we're feeling. And I
Hmm.
say look, like really like tap in with yourself and just look and see what's there, feel it, instead of sweeping it under the rug and being distracted, and healing it like from
Yeah.
childhood, because then we wouldn't have to deal with missing person cases and um, different things that, like you said, shock the energetic system into just situations where we're not properly expressing ourselves, and
Yes.
it's just it's kind of a mess, like where people are sick energetically.
Hmm. Yeah, and I know you can feel that, because you have, that empathic energy as being a healer too. You take that on as yourself, as your own, and particularly in our community. My thing is we're just now getting to a place, thank God, we're just now getting to a place where we can start talking about healing, talking about healthy ways of expressing ourselves, healthy ways that we're talking to our children. I was raised by a boomer. I'm an OG millennial. I was raised by a boomer child. Like there was none of that. Okay. Like they didn't, therapy wasn't their outlet. Nobody was talking about that. All they had was the church and, and it was don't tell nobody your business and it was secrets and it was, corporal physical punishment. And that's what they had to work with, at the time. And so us coming out of that, and breaking the cycle on a lot of that has us kind of looking at things more like, okay, wait a minute, there's a different way of doing things. And so I think we're just at the cusp of that. Like, so it seems like to me where you're positioned at and what you do, spiritually and holistically, as well as your profession, is like ideal for the work that you do, you know, because it seems like you're really passionate about it. Who knows what'll happen in the future as far as like what you'll actually create for that need that you see, so and I think that's wonderful that you work with the babies once again. It takes special people to do that. And I yeah, what can I say? I work with adults. It's like my patience is thin. I'm an Aries, like yeah, it's got to be adults for me, so kudos to you and seeing that, going through your own journey and being in a place where you actually are creating a difference and helping. And never underestimate the power of planting a seed. So, it may not seem like they paying attention, but something may click later on for them, where they say, you know what, let me calm down. Let me take a deep breath. Let me go find some quiet time. Let me, do some self care. So you are making changes, even though we can't save the whole world all at once. So yeah, kudos for that. So I know you got in, you started getting the trainings and things like that. So, did you have any experiences? Like, I know that you're into metaphysical energy work. Have you had, tell me what your experience with that has been like any experiences that maybe you've had, or maybe with your clients, or in learning that? Like, how did that get started for you?
Well, like I said, I I am like Gen Z millennial. Um, so like I said, when I was dealing with those PWIs and predominantly white institutions, and my mom was a baby boomer, and I'm like, hey, I'm feeling this way, and I look up, I don't see anyone really listening, but I
Hmm.
have like Google and stuff like that. I would literally be like, okay, let's see what the internet has to teach me, and I would like, what's the metaphysical property of amethyst? And I'm like, um, I don't know, in like middle school or high school, and it's telling me like, oh, it creates energy and feeling of like calming and healing. I'm like, okay, so I'm sitting there with the crystal, and I'm already getting this experience as a child that you can experience something that's beyond the here and now, beyond the physical. You can't see it; it's invisible, but it's still having an impact on that energy body and your physical body. So this is me in childhood, and then as I move to like I started teaching in 2020, and like you said, there's that moment where it's like, okay, we have to adjust because like you said, sometimes you don't know if the students are listening or not. You're planting a seed, it could get frustrating, and I found myself like raising my voice and my tone. I'm like, I do not want to be that type of teacher. So
Hmm.
what's going on energetically, metaphysically, beyond the physical, causing this experience? And so I took that moment where eyes are closed. I'm not focused on the physical realm. I'm focusing on the spiritual plane. And I'm saying, oh, I still feel this negative energy from this experience or that experience. And so When I also got to the point where I'm like, there has to be a turning point, a breaking point, because this is getting to be overwhelming. So
Mhm.
I sought out energy healing and I booked with Monica Bay, the Divine Mother, and I'm like, there's something going on. And she had never met me ever. And she, um, yeah, I can see that. You dealt with abandonment in your childhood and, from your parents, and your sister died, and, she was integral to you, but then she left and you were just there. I'm like, okay, I didn't know people could do. I knew about psychics, but I didn't know people could use their power to like really see what's going on energetically with you. And then she used her metaphysical practices to be like, yeah, let's tweak your energy system and pluck that out. And I was like, what? And I'm like, how do you do that? And she was like, keep taking those classes, because she's also the owner of Mystic University. And I'm like, okay. So then she was like, you're a serious empath. As soon as you walk up next to somebody, it's like it's
Mhm.
outside of you. So that was me. I'm like getting a deeper understanding of who I am. Like, oh yeah, that does happen a lot, and this is all me getting my eyes opened wide to what the metaphysical world is like.
Mhm.
The feeling, how it starts, where you can't really see it, but it's a feeling, but there's practices that you can do to remove imbalance, program your energetic system. So that's how I started with the crystals, with
I love it.
that type of metaphysical work. And then the practices where it was like, you're a severe empath. I'm a cancer. Well,
Oh yeah, my daughter's a Cancer. I know y'all take on everybody's everything.
I had, I'm crying, bucking up. So I'm like, I can't be moving through life like shape shifting my energy because of what everybody else. So then she was like introducing me to the metaphysical work of cleansing the chakras, balancing the chakras, protecting your energy field, because
Mhm.
whew, I needed that very badly.
Yeah.
how it got started, and that's how it's still going.
I love it. And all of those things never get old. Those are the basics, those are the foundations, those are the long game, the long stay, I know that throughout my journey, especially because you fall on, you fall off, I'm on now, but like in the beginning and on my journey, it was a lot of like really going hard and then just kind of life getting in the way and getting distracted, and I would forget my spiritual tools and practices, and the way to get grounded was always going back to the basics, just remembering meditation, breathing, cleansing and clearing, protecting, all of those things, they never get old, so I love that, and I think that's the foundation before you go out there and start. I always say that before you start navigating in these spirit streets, you got to be protected. You got to know, you got to know how to come in correct. You can't just
Oh,
come in wild and messy, opening up portals and whatnot. So,
you, because I skipped the step before I got with, like you said, the people who understand the basics. My other so the Divine Mother Monica Bay, she also, in addition to Mystic University, she has Mystic Temple. And
okay.
she has light guardians, and one of the light guardians, he also helped me before I understood how to cleanse my aura and my chakras. He was doing cleanses, and he would always say, no beads, no baths, no BS. Like, we're going to get the work done. But before I met him, I met this Reiki healer. I'm not gonna drop any names, but I think she was doing what you were just saying, out in these spiritual streets without the protection. And unfortunately, um, she passed away last year, and
Oh
it was
wow.
very traumatic. Um, and I just remember like when he was like, "Stop getting healing from her," and he
Mhm.
had that psychic radar sense to know like some basics, some foundations are not established over there, and you're opening
Right.
yourself up to get cleansed from this person, and there's some BS going on. And I was
Yeah.
just like, whoa. And it really shocked me when I'm like going this way with the foundations and getting certified and like how to really, make an impact. And then I hear her on the news and
Wow.
like that. And I'm just like, that that's a big issue in the spiritual community. It's like,
Yes.
oh, I have some power, but it's like,
What kind? Like, from
right,
where?
that's a big thing where it's like, whoo, I can laugh at it now, but as a
Yeah.
more naive and you just get started, watch out in these spiritual streets.
Watch out. Yeah.
Want to be linked in with the true like professionals in a sense where, like I say, we're operating from a heart center first. We understand power and how it's negative and positive, but we're operating from a protected heart centered place as opposed
Mhm.
to where other people in the spiritual streets, they may be, like you said, it's unknown. Where are you getting your from? What are you doing with it?
Yeah. It's a lot out there. Like that's the thing with and I think everybody, I won't say everybody, I'll just speak for myself. I had to go through some things to learn some lessons too in the beginning. I definitely had to learn some things, that was part of my spiritual growth and process. I was somewhat still protected. I got popped, just hard enough to get the lesson. I didn't, it wasn't detrimental, but I think that's part of it. My ancestors wanted me to know that this is not a game. This is real. This is not TV, and you need to come correct with respect, a certain way, and all of that stuff before you getting access into these places. And you need to stay in your lane and your neighborhood. Like, stop going places that don't, resonate with your lineage, your spirit, where you're supposed to be, because it does exist. And it's not for me to go poking around and being nosy and seeing what they doing over there, because like I said, that's the you definitely ultimate fuck around and find out. You will you will find out. And that's been my experience. So thanks for bringing that up, because it is a lot on social media. That's why for me personally, I always encourage people to activate and cultivate their own spiritual gifts so that you trust your intuition, because your intuition and build that relationship with your spirit guides, ancestors, however that resonates with you, cosmic family, whatever it is for you. Y'all need to get close enough so that you can see BS coming, and know what to stay away from and what to gravitate towards. So definitely, thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, so you talked about a lot of good stuff. I love the fact that you talked about the basics. I like the fact that it started with crystals for you, because for me it was meditation, yoga, and crystals. And I loved crystals in the beginning. I just knew all the crystals. And, back then we could buy them. We could buy them by that point, by the time I had gotten into it. So, I know you were getting rocks and stuff, and that's dope. But I definitely was buying them, and I knew them all. And that was so exciting for me. Just and so to me, I was just really like in awe of the fact that these things held power, and they like were in the earth, stored energy, like you said, all these things that activated that inner realm for you. And crystals are still powerful. I'm not into them as much as I used to be. Sometimes I kind of mourn that. I miss that a little bit, because I sometimes I miss that. I'm like, whatever happened to the crystals? You just got too big and then ran off and forgot about the crystals. So I love it. You talked a little bit about spiritual hygiene, like, protections and things like that. Tell us some examples of like spiritual hygiene practices.
Okay, no problem. Because, like you said, sometimes you learn about it, you know what you need to do, and then you fall off, and then it's like go back to that. So I'm at the point where it's like daily, weekly. Do not fall off of these practices. So I have a ritual, a routine that I do every morning, and I call it spiritual hygiene. It's right on my phone on the reminders app. I have to do this, this, and this, and this. So let's go over a few of them. So one thing on my spiritual hygiene list is reacting.
Hmm.
So um that's just so, like I was mentioning, that one healer that I was dealing with when I first started out, and she met her detriment. I read into that because energetically, because I was shook a little bit. Well, not shook, but I was like shook for her, and I'm like, what happened? And Like sometimes people don't react, or they don't understand their reaction, or they kind of sweep it under the rug, and then it stays in their energetic system. So when I wake up, I'm like, what's my current reaction to life right now? Am I grateful? Am I irritated from what happened with this? Like, it's a spiritual check in, it's a body scan. It is a physical and energetic body scan of what are your reactions and your emotions to life presently. And if I find anything that's unhelpful or negative in a sense that is unhelpful to me right now, then I have to release it. And releasing practices could be like biokinesis, where you use your mental and your spiritual power to target that area of your energetic body or your physical body, and you can release it through your breath, whatever way comes to mind, whatever way is powerful for you. So I wake up, I react, I release, and then I recenter my energy. So that's cleansing and balancing the chakras and programming them with the intentions and the energy that I want for the day. After I react, release, recenter, now I'm refocusing. I'm sending out energy with certain um, affirmations or magical phrases that I've created. And then after that, I'm just re-engaging with the world. After I've done all of those 4 steps: react, release, recenter, refocus. I do whatever I need to do. I go outside with my shield up,
Hmm.
my energetic protection. That's another big part of spiritual hygiene. And I do it literally with my physical hygiene. So I'm waking up, I'm in the mirror and brush my teeth. Now I'm doing that mirror work with those stages that I went through. And if I miss a day, I can see, like, it's just like if you don't
Hmm.
ever wash your
You got cracks in your shield.
clothes, if you don't brush your teeth or wash your butt a certain day, you don't notice a smell. And
Right.
do the spiritual hygiene, you're going to notice, like you said, those cracks. Certain things affect you in a way where it wouldn't have if you had properly reacted and understood your triggers and things like that. Even as someone who's certified and gone down the path and like really have a deep understanding of things, I still maintain my energetic and spiritual health, because I don't want to be caught slipping. So that's what I
Yeah.
on a daily. And sometimes I do it more than once because, like I said, I'm in middle school. So
Yeah.
those children, I don't take it personally, but they have some things going on where they may be getting shocks to their energetic system, or I like I like to say, sometimes they come to school, they have a great day, we learn, and then they go home and they get washed in dirty water, and it's
Hmm.
not literally, but like energetically. They could be swimming negative soup, anxiety soup, and they come back, and I have to properly react. So I can't overreact. I can't underreact. I have to have the right reactions to what I'm facing in life. So I have to be able, if I'm irritated, I have to release it like that. Like I can't hold on to it for the whole.
Right.
And I immediately activate that spiritual hygiene.
I love it. And especially with you being empathic, because you do absorb, and if you're not careful, you just taking on stuff and then it's starting to affect you. But, one of the things about being empathic that I learned that really saved me was yeah, putting up that barrier and that shield, but also using that empathic energy to be able to change the energy in the room, to shift it from negative to positive, to take a situation and turn it from, because these kids are, like you said, you don't know what they're dealing with at home. You don't know what they're dealing with, on a physical level, on an emotional level, on a mental level that they're taking in at home. And everybody's all grouped in one, coming from different directions. That's a lot. That's a lot going on. And then you try to teach them, and act like everybody's on one accord. That's very challenging. That's why I said I, I got to do adults. I know my lane. It takes a special type of person to be able to teach the youth. And so yeah, spiritual protection and hygiene would be just like paramount for you and anybody really.
Right. Even dealing with adults,
Yes.
um, there's they still have that childhood pattern energy where they may have had a great childhood or maybe not, and they're maybe still be carrying some of those patterns as well. Because I have to do, I have to do energy protection for the whole school population, the teachers,
Yeah, right.
um, and so yeah, even when I'm interacting with the and the parents,
That's what I was going to say. The parents, I was like, oh, that's got to be another beast right there.
but the whole population. And let's say I have professional development days where it's just me with all the other teachers in the district. Oh, I'm going to turn it up even more because the
Hmm.
children, and they are, I have good relationships with them, and they want to get to know me, and I get to know them. They learn from me, I learn from them. Sometimes in the adult world, um, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like the social aspect of being in America sometimes is not really social. People can be closed off, and they may do things and take things personally. Um, and there's like really thick boundaries where it's like you can't really get to know these people.
Yes.
So still, I do my best to keep that spiritual hygiene around anybody, even my own family,
Yes. Yeah.
because
Absolutely. And that's definitely paramount, especially like I said, with you being empathic. When you learn who you are, then you know the things that you have to do, the rituals that you have to do in order for your spirit body to be maintained. And you got to take care of you before anything. And you got a lot of people you're around. I work from home, and I'm grateful for that. That's one of the reasons I work from home. But it's because I need to be able to take a breath. I need to be able to do what it is that I need to do, without dealing with everybody's stuff. It's a whole lot easier, to get irritated with somebody at work and you at home and they can't hear what you're saying and you're able to express and release like right then and there and let it go and then be like, okay, whatever, so I couldn't imagine. And I did work in office. I work in a corporate America. I worked in office before and it did not work. Okay. It did not work. Like the personalities and all the things that you're describing and nobody else is on this and it was really challenging for me and I was being drained on a daily basis and
oh my,
yeah.
when I first started teaching, the world shut down. It was 2020. I
Oh
just graduated
yeah.
college. So I was teaching at home. And I'm like, oh, I could get with this. I'm
Yeah.
technologically savvy. I'm teaching. We on Zoom or Teams. It was amazing. And then the world opened back up and I went into the school building. I was like, hold on. I don't know if I could do this because it was just very overwhelming as an
Hmm.
empath. And I had just joined Mystic University and I was still like getting really like strong in those foundational basics of energy work. But then as years went on, I got that coaching myself. Um, everything changed, and I learned
Hmm.
how to keep my joy and my heartfelt energy.
Yes.
People who are just angry and what,
Yeah.
and I had to
Unhealed. There's
yes,
a lot of that.
I had to learn how to do those reactions in my head because they were coming out when I was
I
at
bet. Like, I mean, you are human at the end of the day, having a spiritual experience. So you know you got emotions too, and it's triggers for you to learn more about yourself. Which it's like this is like probably it's just another part of the spiritual journey where you get to learn about yourself, practice too. You're actually getting to practice these things that you're learning that you're implementing on a daily basis. And I mean, with that being said, like, how do you see yourself now compared to like 2020? Because you coming up, this is 25 now, so this is like 5 years. You like a baby vet.
yes, that's really what I was just about to say. In 2020, I was like, I'm a baby. Like I'm like I know I was into like crystals and I was big in journaling. Like from
Hmm.
7th grade to now, I've had journals, multiple journals every year, and like I said, I will properly react. I'm not going to hold on to any feelings. They're all going to come out on that paper, through my voice, whatever. But it got to a point where when I was reacting out loud in 2020, or not 2020 because it was virtual and I was so fine with that at working from home. But 2021 school year, I was dealing with like students bullying me, bullying each
Hmm.
other, cyberbullying.
Yeah.
Um, oh my gosh, the cyber, not even the cyberbullying, but the way that the children were using technology at home and then
Yes.
over to school. And I'm like, hey guys, welcome to class. And then,
You're on that love and light.
yeah, guys, welcome to class. And they like, what you say about me online? And I'm just opening the lesson up. And they
Right.
don't go. And I'm like, I grew up in the hood, but my mom, she drove me 30 minutes, school of choice,
Hmm.
suburbs, because she did not want me to go to the hood school. So this is my first time in a school in a neighborhood that looks like mine as an adult. And I'm like, I'm shocked.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you can't talk like that. Be quiet.
Yeah, because it's like it causes you to like you react, you don't
I'm like,
respond like, because you're not matching the energy, like the energy is off whack. Yeah.
right. And I'm coming in like, I love y'all. I want to read better. And they like, I don't want to read that book. Shut up. You're boring. And I want to fight.
Wow.
Fight.
It's so school is so different. I used to see them TikTok videos, but like I remember, like it was not that bad. You may have had one person act out, every now and then, and they got sent to the office and it's suspended or something, or, detention or whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah, what I hear now is like this is so sad because it seems like the healing work that you do and a lot of us do will be so beneficial not only for these kids but for the teachers as well. Like y'all need an outlet as well, and I think that's probably why the burnout is so high. Um, it's just too much. It's a work life balance, a mental breakdown. Like you can't, that's why I left the job that I was at, in office. I had to. I was like, this is, work life balance is important to me. I go to work, I keep this separate. And when I'm off, I'm off. And I do that now. I used to before be working all after the clock. And I'm like, no, it can wait until tomorrow. I'm going to do whatever it is I need to do, for myself, whether that's go to bed early, cook a meal, those self-care aspects like you talked about, taking care of that spiritual body and filling up your cup, So I'm glad you've got these tools and I'm glad you use them. Yeah, so I want to talk about and I love this. This is a near and dear subject of mine, the quantum healing.
Mhm.
Talk about that.
So I just love like how now the media, the movies, they're expressing a lot of this metaphysical stuff. And it's like,
Mhm.
oh no, that's a movie. But I'll be watching it like, okay, so like
There's a lot
Doctor
of truth in there.
like Doctor Strange, when he's sitting there and he's processing the different realities and the different outcomes, that's the quantum physics part of of reality, that it's all interconnected. It's all different expressions, and you get the you have the power to be able to choose which reality you want to be in. So, and then just being able to understand that the way that we're all connected through that universal energy field,
Mhm.
that lattice, that um, we can just say the quantum field, and being able to tap into that to get answers, do psychic work, do energy
Mhm.
work, um, even as simple as using tools like tarot, and being able to bring in the understanding of the quantum realm into when you pull that card, how does it know? Because we're all connected. So, some practices that I do is like, as soon as I wake up, I want to be in the reality where I want this to happen, and then those other realities, I want them to merge into, or I want to tweak and remove certain things. So it's like having the even deeper understanding of um, the here and now and how it's connected to different here and nows.
Yeah, past lives and
Yeah,
and ancestry, DNA. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, especially like you. I love one of the topics you get into is that ancestor wisdom. Oh, they are all. The quantum field offers so much wisdom, and the ancestors who come before us, and how they have um just basically stamped their understanding and their practices and their existence. And I love how earlier you said now we're getting into these topics, whereas like the baby boomers, they were like brushing it over under the rug or not really having belief in it. But really it's like our ancestors before that generation and before that one, like if you can tap into the quantum field and really connect with the ancestors and do that ancestral work, they have so much wisdom to offer.
Oh yeah.
Whatever reality, quantum reality that they were dealing with, and the ones that they pulled to them,
Yes.
they were doing that work, and it's so inspiring. I know Black History Month is coming up, but when you get into like the Black history where it's like they were dealing with this reality, but they pulled this reality towards them, and
Hmm.
like people say like quantum leap, they leapt from this oppressive, detrimental reality into this one, and now look at their bloodline, like
And
it
even before that, like, they were just running stuff, like, for the longest. And there's so much magnificence that lies in the DNA that I always say that it's like a computer database that we have access to
yeah.
information if we just tap into it. I have a lot of skills. And a lot of people are like, dang, you know how to do this, you know how to do that. And that my cheat code is I'm able to activate things in my DNA and past life experiences. Like you said, I'm pulling it and calling it together, and using it in this lifetime. And it's all as a result of what you described, remembering these things, tapping into that, enhancing that, practicing with it, working with it. That's what I always tell people. You got to do the work, y'all. You can't just like learn and read a book and just, think it's going to, happen. No, you have to practice this stuff. You have to, go through things to learn. Don't touch that. That's too hot. That's not for you. You have to have your own experience. The spiritual journey is a journey that's always individual and unique. And so, yeah, I get real excited about my ancestors. So, and spirit guides and my cosmic family who've always been there too, who are just now back online because we are in the year of transformation, age of Aquarius. You're going to see a lot of people that are actually waking up to, wait a minute, it's got to be a different way. And things are about to get wild. I tell my daughter that all the time. I'm like, it's about to get so wild, like too hot for TV, especially, yeah, just pay attention and watch. That's all I gotta say. It's gonna be all hands on deck healers and spiritualists.
Max say coming home to roost, and if things are the physical reality that we experience, it all starts energetically in the vibrations that are around us. Um, in that quantum field, our ancestors come into play. What lessons were they learning? And have you learned it? And it's like, if you haven't, like you said, done the work, that energy is going to come home into this physical realm.
Sure.
I'm just gonna say that because I've been living in America for almost 30 years now, and I always wondered, like, when I was younger, how could people get away with this? And then I realized
Yeah.
they're not going nowhere. They're not running away from nothing.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I won't say unfortunately because it is what it is. it needed to happen in order to force this push of consciousness elevation for humanity. Okay, like we got to get out of the division and the divisive types of systems that were put into play in order to keep us from ever coming together and raising our consciousness collectively, because we're powerful when we do that. And before this particular world order that we're coming out of now, it wasn't like that. There was no race situations. There probably may have been somebody had a little bit more than somebody else, and that's about it. But it wasn't to the grand scale that we see now, where we have poverty way, way down here, and then we've got, the elite, that's got so much money. Like the division was not so wide, and that's just got a lot to do with a whole lot of stuff. That's a whole nother podcast episode. But we are coming back into the divine mother energy. Yay, I'm here for it. I'm like, come on, y'all. They about to kill us all. Like they're gonna kill us all, and the planet too. And the planet too. And that's it. Mother Earth too. She's also pissed off with the way things have been going, and how people been dealing with her animals, and trying to do her weather and stuff like that. So I'm definitely I'm here for it. I'm like, I was born for this. I'm here. My cosmic family is here. I'm like, come on, let's get to work. But it's going to get crazy first before it gets better. And yeah, we're already seeing it.
That destruction is always the method to the madness, especially like you said, when the cosmic family taps in and causes some things to happen. And in this late stage capitalism, it's like they could cause harm and detriment, but in the end, when that divine um femininity and masculinity, that divine mother comes in, and we actually do the nurturing and nourishment of the people's energetic system. Like we said earlier, it's all tapped into the quantum field. That gets healed, that gets restored and nurtured as well. So I'm excited and I'm here for that work as well.
Uh-oh. Okay, good. I think I lost you for a little bit, but I caught you right at the right time. So, yeah, and like I said, we here for it. That's why we all coming online. We're all coming online, especially at 2020. A lot of people came online. We needed that pause and that breath, as as a collective, to be like, huh, start going inward. So thank you so much. This has been a great conversation. Like we went all over the place, and we went some places I didn't think, but it all was applicable, and you had a lot of wisdom to share, and I can't wait to see how you grow in this thing, because you seem like a very beautiful spirit. I saw that, especially when you put the video up. I was like, oh, what a sweetheart. I was like, she's just a natural sweetheart. So I'm so glad I was able to have you on the show. Tell my guests like the types of work that you do with the community, and of course how we can find you, and if you have any classes or anything coming up.
Yes, so every second Monday, I teach many mystics at Mystic University. And we're gifting the children the metaphysical knowledge of their energy field, starting them off with that protection work, that being able to the basics that we mentioned earlier. I also offer energy healing and coaching sessions through the Wisdom Network.net, where I coach and introduce people, or help them refine and get even stronger in those metaphysical practices. Um, some of the clients that I worked with so far, they've been dealing with like some very, I would say, harmful, like detrimental situations that they've been able to push through, and come out stronger and brighter energetically, my coaching and the energy healing that we've done. I also offer mediumship services. I already said energy healing, coaching. Um, you can check out my page on the Wisdom Network, but I'm just really excited, like you were saying, to come into this and express this divine motherly energy, because I know everybody needs a mother to teach them. Not saying that I'm the mother that's teaching you, but just that energy coming through me as I'm
Mhm.
to my spirit guides and my family. So I'm really excited to do that work through the Wisdom Network. You can also find me on Love Like Leah, where I'll be sharing some of the game, some little nuggets here and to help people understand exactly what it is that I do, introduce them to different topics that may have been lost on our society as a whole, but is being reintroduced and the spotlight is being put back on it. So I also want to thank you for inviting me. And
Absolutely.
said we're online now and we ready to express what we're doing, that metaphysical work, that quantum healing work. So I definitely am feeling holistic and spiritual AF. So
Well, I am glad to hear it. Yes, like I said, you do a lot of really good, powerful work. And I love the fact that you're working with the youth. And I was just thinking as you were talking about teaching them the basics. I was like, what if it switched? Or I won't say what if, I know it will happen one day where it completely switches. And instead of these kids being in chaos and dysfunction when they come through the door, don't know why, it'd be like, I got to protect my energy today. Like if they start saying stuff like that, like, "Oh, let me cleanse my chakras," that would just be so amazing. And I know one day it will be that way. Just right now, we're at the cusp of the madness and craziness right now that's happening.
about planting seeds. When I was you, I have like a tuning fork and a bell signal because like I said, I don't like to yell at the kids because that could be a shock. So I have to signal them other ways. Um, and I was teaching this student about like sound and stuff like that, how it vibrates out. And one time she was like arguing with her friend. She was like, "You need to ring that bell." You
See, it's getting in there. It's getting in there. I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much, Mahalia. Like once again, like I said, it's been a total honor to have you on the show. And of course, y'all know I'm going to have this information in the description, so be sure to check out with Mahalia. Find her at thewisdomnetwork.net, where she has a array of services that she offers over there. And then, of course, you can find her on IG at Love Light Leah, and she's going to have a lot of her nuggets of wisdom and other things for you guys over there. So thank you so much, Mahalia. And yeah, until the next episode, y'all.